Hello everyone, welcome back to Real Reds Talk. Sorry about the delay, just some technical issues that we had to sort out, but it is sorted now, and yeah, we're all ready to go. This is your weekly breaking news show. You're watching the best independent fan channel on the planet. Joining me on the show today, we have Shreyas and Adam Gray. How's your week been so far, Shreyas? Talk to me.
Yeah, it has been going very well. One of the best weeks I would say I've had in quite some time. How are you doing,
Oh,
Nick?
one of the best weeks you've had in some time, he
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you'll have to tell me off camera what that consists of. Yeah, I'm doing all right, tired, but yeah, I'm doing fine. What about yourself, Adam?
I'm doing good. It's been a busy week, and what is it? It's only Tuesday, so a bit like yourself, I could be cracking a bit up and soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. It gets like that sometimes, doesn't it? So
Does.
on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at Jadon Sancho in depth, his time in Germany, his current form, and our opinions on him so far. Think of it as like an evaluation of Jadon Sancho. The Financial Times are currently hosting a live Q&A with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, so we're going to try pull some quotes from that in regards to Manchester United whilst we're live as well. Plus, we've got a little bit of transfer talk involving the likes of Cody Gakpo. And I'm going to ask the lads a question about Kylian Mbappe as well, with massive news coming out regarding his future. So, as always, if you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button, like the video. We currently have 66% non-subscribing viewers and 33% that are subs. So, if you are part of that 66%, come and join the community. And we can start pushing that ratio up, start getting bigger guests on, start blowing the channel up, basically. Let's keep pushing that together. So thank you to everyone for the continued support. And yeah, let's keep growing. I want to start off with Sancho, as I said then, lads. The main point of this topic is to gauge where you guys are currently at with Jadon Sancho, your thoughts, feelings on him, in terms of his performances, dips in form, inconsistencies, and not necessarily replicating what he was doing in Germany and getting to the root of these issues. I've done a bit of statistical digging to compare his time in Germany to his time in Manchester United. And yeah, I actually forgot statistically for Dortmund, he was pretty fucking good. Obviously, his first season, so his first year in Germany, left Man City, didn't he? Quite a big call for a youngster at the time, moving to Germany, but he did it. He weren't getting played at Germany. He weren't getting played at Man City under Pep. And he was like, fuck it, I'm going to leave. Went to Dortmund, first season, only got 1 goal and 4 assists in 12 games, 6 big chances created, 1.6 key passes, and 1.4 successful dribbles. So what you'd expect from a youngster, nothing prolific in his first seasons, adapting to the league and stuff. And then he moves into the second year, 2018-19. He played both on the left side and the right side, so switched his game up a bit. Got 12 goals and 14 assists in 34 games, which is obviously a step up from the previous season. And now he's kind of settling in. 13 chances created, 2.1 key passes, and 3.3 successful dribbles. So the stats are going up. He's improving. He hits his third year. And like I said, I knew his output was good, but can anyone guess how many goals and assists he got in that year? Give me a rough figure. What do you think? In 32 games.
In 32 games, I'm gonna go 28
28 what?
altogether.
Oh, so 28 as in like goals and assists.
Yeah.
Shreyas?
25.
You got 17 goals and 16 assists in 32 games,
Oh.
which is super
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah.
Super impressive. Is that 33 goal involvements in 32 games? Yeah, so he's positive in goal involvements. 19 big chances created, 2.2 key passes, and 2.4 successful dribbles. Is almost like tripling output. His most prolific season at Dortmund, making him one of the most influential attackers in Europe, alongside the likes of Messi, Muller, Di Maria, the Snake, all these kind of guys. So yeah, developing a big pedigree, a lot of potential, a lot of eyeballs on him around Europe. And then the following year, he had a little bit of a drop off, but the pedigree was already there to see, which is ultimately why we spent so much money on him. First question I'm going to ask you is, and Adam, I'll go to you first on this. As of yet, or as of now, should I say, why do you think it hasn't translated over to the Premier League?
That's actually a good question. I think he came into a side that was kind of all over the place, if I'm being honest. Walked in at probably one of our worst and lowest moments in the last 10 years. And as a youngster, you really he's a bit of a confidence player, a bit like Rashford in a way as well. And once the confidence is at rock bottom, he just doesn't. He kind of ghosts and disappears. Ralph Ragnick then came in, and we were thinking, okay, maybe he might be a bit more suited to him, but his pressing style didn't suit him in the end.
Mm.
And Ralph's time ended, and now we're on to Ten Hag's. And let's be honest, many of us over the summer were saying if there was a one player that would be perfectly suited for Ten Hag, it would have been Sancho.
Yeah.
And as of yet, we haven't seen him like in his form since his Dortmund days. And I think it's just down to it could be a bit of a mental mindset of thinking he's made it. I think a
Yeah.
few of our players have that mindset, and it isn't a good mindset to have. And I think that's a result of giving these younger players massive contracts when they're younger. Like that is something that I kind of got information on. If you want me to touch on it now, or I can touch on it later.
What's that on his wages? Was that?
His wages, yeah.
Yeah. Go more. Yeah, dive into it
Mhm.
if you want. Yeah.
He's our third highest player, our third. And yeah, I had to correct myself there. And he's on £350,000 a week for a youngster.
350.
350.
That is
And he's
silly, that, isn't
22.
it? It is silly.
Mhm.
I know. Like I said, he's he's coming from Dortmund, where he's just got 17 goals and 16 assists, which the stats are just out of this world, if we're being honest. Up there with the top, but 350k for a 21-year-old, a 20-year-old, whatever he was at the time, is ridiculous. That's a lot of fucking money. That's more than like. Don't get me wrong. I think talent level. I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but I think Rashford and Sancho are probably similar talent levels, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Both of them at the top. I think maybe Sancho's a tiny bit better, but Rashford's on 200k a week. He's been here through the academy. He's obviously Mancunian, and you'd think he'd be the top near that, and he's earning 150 grand less than Jadon Sancho, which is crazy to think of. But yeah, them numbers can definitely. When you wake up in silk sheets, I think the same was. It's not as easy to train hard. Do you know what I mean? So I imagine his move from Manchester United has been totally different to Dortmund in that respect. Sorry.
What pushes you to that next level? What pushes you? What motivates you? Usually it's cash to get a bigger contract.
Yeah.
But when you already have a big contract, you don't have that motivation to kind of
Exactly.
go on and get another one.
Yeah, and that's an issue with a lot of players at the club. Shreyas, what about yourself with that? Like I said, we're going to dive into it a little bit more statistically in the Premier League, but what is it with Jadon Sancho? Why you think it hasn't translated? Or maybe you do think it has translated and he's done well. I don't know. Just give us your opinion on it.
I think this season he's been better, but it has still been average. I think it hasn't been a situation where even though Martial has been injured, but whenever he's been on the pitch, we've seen what we actually wanted to see. He's sharp, he's on it. Whenever he's on, he's able to make an impact. With Sancho, the thing has been on a few occasions he's been really good, but on a few occasions he hasn't really looked up to speed. He hasn't really looked that involved in the game as well, and I think more of that has to be because of the fact that we haven't really had that much stability in the squad. I think stability is something that is still actually, something that is being developed in that squad right now. I think last season we had the most unstable squad uh, in the entire Premier League, and this season there is stability, but we're still in developmental process in every single department, I would say. And I think with Sancho, the thing has to be he is getting better and better. I would say he's getting better and better. But when you spend that amount of money, and like Adam mentioned, the kind of wages he's on, you would want it to translate into stats and it to translate into games. You don't really see that kind of an impact from Sancho in games. And like you said, that Rashford and Sancho are on pretty much similar levels when it comes to their talent. We are seeing. I would say if I have to compare both of them, Rashford has looked much better this season. I would say,
Yeah.
even when he's being played out of position as a striker, even when he hasn't really had that good of a game, his presence is felt in the game. With Sancho, the thing is, if he's not on the ball, his presence isn't really felt, and I think that's one of the major areas where he needs to work on, because if he doesn't, then now we actually have the squad depth to actually play someone else than Sancho and come the winter transfer window or next season, someone like a Gakpo or someone else could take that position from him.
We're going to touch on Gakpo a little bit later.
Yeah.
Some exciting news coming out surrounding him. Adam, in Dortmund, Jadon got heavily criticised by the German journalist who was saying he wasn't up to scratch, he's too slow, he's not having impact on the game. Similar things that we're starting to hear. Now his form's dipping a little bit. But Jadon Sancho naturally is a slow burner. And by the end of that season, I think he'd racked up quite a lot of assists and goals in the 18-19 season. Do you think there'll be a similar kind of process under Ten Hag? Because obviously last season he had Ole in charge and then you had Ralf Rangnick in charge, and it's mixed. He can't really settle. And then obviously Ten Hag comes in, who seems to be a very, very good coach. He improves a lot of players. Do you think you'll see that process under Ten Hag?
I think he'll want to improve his game, especially since coming to United. Hasn't really been the best. For me, he's probably at the best. He has the best manager for a youngster who can nurture him and actually develop his game. No, I don't think anyone has really done it better in the last couple of seasons, other than Ten Hag, especially at Ajax. We've seen what he can do with these players who, like many of us, would write off, whether it's Sebastian Haller, Dusan Tadic when he was out at Southampton. I know he often had a good game against us, but he was never at that world-class playmaker level. And then he goes to Ajax and he's putting up numbers similar to the best playmakers in all of Europe. And Ten Hag can do that with Sancho. So I think what he needs to do is actually put his head down, go to training, do what the likes of Malacia are doing, like be one of the first to arrive and one of the last. And a lot of that is done mentally, and so I think it's a bit of a mental kind of switch he needs to make. But yeah, just put your head down, concentrate on your football, try not let everything else outside distract you. I thought that, this getting into the English team would have been one of the big motivations.
Confidence
to actually
booster
take
for him.
him on. Yeah. And I'm trying to think now, you should be kind of pushing on from that to try and make a final statement to Gareth Southgate. But we got to wait and see now. You never know. He probably will play midweek, I say, and he might have a good game, and then he might reward him at the weekend and start him. So just put your head down, listen to the manager, and just he isn't really the fastest player, so just develop your game around that. Whether it's like beating a man not with pace but with some skill, because he has it in his locker. So just concentrate on the training ground, and you'll be rewarded on the pitch.
There's a few good points I want to pick up there that I like that you've said. The first of all, the England one, I think it's weird because someone like Jude Bellingham, who I would consider as a generational talent, couldn't get game time with the Southgate until recently. He would always pick Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice, and he says he doesn't pick favourites, but let's be honest, Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire went and Jadon Sancho didn't. When he scored against Liverpool, Leicester was in flying form, and he still didn't pick him. So I think, yes, it'll be damaging to his confidence, but Sancho, if I was Sancho, I wouldn't look at it in such a dark light, because Southgate's an idiot, if we're being completely honest. Yeah, that's on that. Another question I wanted to ask you, or ask you both, are you worried about his physical attributes in the Premier League? So I've seen him recently in the 60th, 70th minute. He seems to tailor off when he's doing work off the ball. He gets subbed off in the 67th minute quite a lot. And me and Sam were saying that even in pre-season, at the start of the season, maybe he's still ill, maybe he's still got something, a bit of something, whatever it was, up with him at the time. And then it gets to a certain point, you can't just say he's ill 2 months into the season. That it just doesn't suffice. It doesn't work. So does his physical condition worry you a bit in this Ten Hag system? Because he obviously wants players that work as hard off the ball as anyone.
I think I'm not really that much concerned with the physical aspect of his game, because I think there could be an issue with him playing the full 90. There definitely could be, but I think another aspect to it could also have to be with the fact that now that we have 5 subs, we can actually have someone else come on when he starts to look a little knackered, he starts to get a little tired, and you can chuck someone like Rashford on, who could bless you with pace and against tired legs would actually do a really, really good job for us. So maybe it's about squad rotation, maybe it's about maintain the same intensity throughout the full 90, because one of the biggest reasons why we lost so many games last season was because after the 65th minute our entire team used to drop. And
Yeah.
now probably Ten Hag is able to see it, and he's able to see that now that he has actually got, you know, the option of making at least 5 subs. Why not actually, bring on some fresh legs who can offer you the same quality and the same intensity in the game for the full 90, rather than playing the same players again and again for 90 minutes. Have also knowing that you have another couple of games within the same week, not to really force any injury on a player. So could be a smart move, but could also have to do with the fact that he um, might not be up to it to play in a Ten Hag system. I think if something like this could have been going on, the media would have hopped on it already. Already, I think when you're a United player and they even see a little spark or a little hint of something, they pounce on it. So I don't really think that
Yeah.
something like that is on.
I think it's an important point you make about the rest of the team as well, because I remember when Ralph Ragnick came in, and I don't know if you remember the graphic from when Ralph Ragnick was managing at Leipzig in terms of presses off the ball,
Yeah,
fitness,
yeah.
everything. Leipzig were first in that department, and then under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, United were last pretty
Yeah.
much in the league in everything
Yeah.
off the ball. So there was obviously a massive kind of gap there to make up when Ten Hag comes in. So I think that was a good point you made there. I've got some stats from his time in the Premier League. I thought it'd be interesting to see how they compare with Borussia Dortmund. So in his first season for us, can anyone guess or tell me or what you think he had in terms of goals and assists? He played 29 games.
6.
How many do you think? So you think he got what, 6 in total?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam?
Probably say 7, just to be
Yeah,
different.
so three goals and 3 assists in 29 games. Five big chances created, 1.4 key passes and 1.6 successful dribbles, which is on average about 55%. Fair to say, again, not a great first season for us. It's very similar to his first season at Dortmund. So speaking just from a statistical standpoint, you would say he's regressed rather than progressed, because he's putting in similar output to when he was like 17, 18 at Dortmund. He's at United, the big time. It's one of them. Other factors, of course, do come into it. The whole team had a burnout, as we touched on before. We had a coach who initially wanted him. He went all out for him, chased him for like 2 years, and then he got sacked. An interim manager comes in until the end of the season. So there was lack of stability and lack of coaching. Before I go into my next question, I'm going to let Adam tell me what he's laughing at and what he's giggling at, because I'd love to hear it.
Aaron's in the chat, and you know how you're talking about the physicality of Sancho. Was it a
Are you going to say
worry?
Luke Shaw?
I'm saying no. He said he might have dodgy bowels like Darren Fletcher. For God's sake.
You can always rely on the chat, can't you, to make you laugh.
Yeah,
That's why I don't look at it now. I let Strayers or I let whoever else on the show and they just look at it, because if I do, it'll just derail the whole show. So I have to stay in like zonal mode. You know what I mean? I stay focused. I'm like Vidic in a game. I'm just straight hosting. Yeah. Anyway, how would you guys assess his first season with us? And are there any red flags for you if you can cast your mind back to that first season when we first signed him?
I think work rate. I think work rate definitely has to be something that has to be looked upon. And except that, I think sometimes it has to come down to him as to how he actually is able to maintain his relationship with the fullback that he's playing with. Because last season and even this season, he's had to work with Diogo Dallo, Malacia, Luke Shaw at times. Sometimes it has been in last season it has been Van Bissaka or Dallo or Teles or
Lack
Luke
of
Shaw.
consistency
So
in it.
yeah, there hasn't really been consistency, but this season there has been consistency with the fullback that he has to play with, but we haven't really seen that kind of a relationship blossoming for him. Like when he was at Dortmund, he had a really really good relationship with Rafael Guerrero, who used to play for them at fullback, and both of them used to command that flank. And at United, even this season, I haven't really seen him linking up that well with someone who actually makes his entire game is basically based on 1-2s, give the ball and move forward, create some spaces and play extra passes. And for that, you really need to have a good relationship with your fullback. And I haven't really seen that happening. Not last season, and even this season, nothing positive has come out.
That's one thing that Man United have massively missed the fullbacks who overlap. Like, I've seen it so many times in a game where Dallo doesn't go past Anthony, or
Exactly.
where like actually in the last game that we played where Luke Shaw overlapped Rashford. It was the first time I've seen it for ages. And we've always said Sancho is that system player who's that piece of the puzzle, and he needs other pieces around him to move in order for his game to be effective. And I think that's where the fact Anthony coming in, I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the light on him at the moment, because on that left side, it's quite compact and people like to drift inside and link up and stuff, which leaves Anthony on his own 1v1 against the wing backs, which is why I think you're seeing him, playing well at the minute, because it seems to suit the system.
Yeah.
If you used to rate his first season out of 10, Adam, what would you give it? Give me a rating.
I'm trying to think back on his first season, because I think I drank more bottles of whiskey than matches we had that season.
But in terms of like what you was expecting from him, his price tag, his potential.
You really can't. For me, you can't give anything higher than a 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the thing is, looking at it now, we haven't really seen him link up with Martial, and Martial likes to drop deep, pull the defenders with him, and then it gives that bit more space, because he's mainly played with Ronaldo, who's been stationary a lot of the time, so he's running like into walls of players. So maybe if we actually see him play with Martial, it might be a different story. So we gotta look. Like, I haven't heard any really update on his injury, but hopefully we can maybe see him link up with him a bit now in the future, because when I'm thinking back, he hasn't really played with him that much since he's arrived at United, because Martial went off last January, and then he was injured for large parts under Ten Hag. So it could be maybe something will flourish there. You never know.
I saw a thing about Martial. The last time he played a full 90 minutes was January. That was the last time he played a full 90 minutes. So yeah, his injuries.
Really, was it?
You what? No. So he went on loan to Sevilla. Was it towards the end of January or middle of January, I think? And he played a game for us, I think, at the start, which was the full 90 minutes. And then apart from that, it was kind of done and dusted. And obviously his loan spell was horrible at Sevilla, but he looks rejuvenated. I hope he can sort his injury out, because he looked important at the start of that Everton game. He clearly suits the system and affects other players around him. So hopefully he can stay fit. So if we can get times after this season, he's been up and down again for me. I think to the Liverpool game he was really good, and then the Arsenal game he kind of went missing. The Manchester derby, I thought he was shocking. He had absolutely no input in that game at all. It's one of the worst games I've seen from him. In 7 games he's got 2 goals, 0 big chances created, 1 key pass per game, and 1 successful dribble per game. So that's so far, and we've played, like I said, 7 games in the Premier League. I think he's got a goal in Europa as well, if I'm correct in saying that. I think against Sheriff, I think it was, potentially. But yeah, it's been a little bit up and down again. You would have thought after a season in the Premier League would start to see the bright spark he was at Dortmund, but I'm still waiting to see that yet. I've not seen stuff where I've been like overly impressed. Like, if you look at someone like Anthony, let's say for example, who's come in, he's scored first 3 goals any United player since he's come in. He scored big goals against big teams. Arsenal was one of them. Man City. And who did we play in the last game now? Can't even think. Everton. Yeah, my mind went blank for a minute then. So yeah, he started off like that, and he's already got the same amount of goals as Sancho did in last season. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you compare it, there's some panic signs for me when I'm looking at Jadon Sancho. Is there any worry about his form, or are you confident he's like, yeah, he can turn it around? There's no issues at all. Because it's his second year now. You would think he would have bedded in.
Definitely, I think there is a worry sign, but for it to become an actual worry, I think we still need to wait for a month, because after a month, the situation will actually arise whether we actually are in the market for a winger or not. Because the moment it gets confirmed that Ten Hag is actually looking in for a new winger, then I think we can confirm that Ten Hag isn't really that fond of Sancho, and Sancho isn't living up to the price tag or living up to his name at United. And I think he definitely has the talent. There's no question about his talent. I think he just needs to develop certain aspects of his game, One of them definitely has to be how he acts off the ball and supporting the fullback that he is actually playing alongside with. But yeah, I think there definitely are some big worry signs around Sancho right now. And I think hopefully with time we can actually see him get better and better. Because considering the amount of money that we've invested on him and considering the situation that we are in right now, we've blown up a lot of cash in this window. I think if we are lucky, we might be able to pull like one signing. And I'm saying that if we are actually lucky, then probably we might be able to pull off one signing. But yeah, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. If Sancho isn't able to perform, it's going to be really difficult because if Sancho doesn't perform, who we got on that left hand side? Just Rashford, and Elanga isn't ready. Every single United fan knows that Elanga isn't ready to actually play for us as a starter in that squad.
Yeah. What do you think his best position is, Adam? Because obviously he's played on the right, he's played on the left-hand side. I'm in the minority where I said I prefer him on the right-hand side. I think it's balanced like that, but obviously we've got Anthony in now, so kind of changes it a little bit. But what for you, obviously prior to Anthony coming in, what do you think where he played best was?
Looking at it now, I think his best position is on the right for us because he's been trying to cut in a lot of the time and it just hasn't been working out. He keeps like hitting it against the defender. He hasn't really got the best of a right back, and maybe that is because the lack of support down the left as well. He maybe it gives him more of a chance as well, like to put his head up because he's on the right side as well. Like maybe getting the cross in. But
Yeah.
I'd say his best position for us right now will be on the right. But he hasn't warranted enough to get in to the team ahead of Anthony right now, especially with the start Anthony has made. He looks like he's actually suited, and I think that's because Ten Hag's worked with him. He's used to his system. Sancho isn't, and I think that's the simple difference between the two of them. Because if you're looking at them in terms of skill, Sancho is quite a skillful player as well,
Yeah.
quite a flair player. Anthony is as well. The only difference is I think Anthony is a bit more pace. That's the real only difference.
I think they're lacking that a little bit, the 1v1 aspect. Like, when you get it, both of them, Anthony and they're a bit hesitant. They don't seem to want to beat a man. I remember Rashford had it in his locker as well.
Yeah.
He would frighten players. Like, remember Trent? He just absolutely shred him to pieces, left, right, centre, direct, and they don't seem to attack wing backs a lot. And I don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
I don't get what's going
I
on.
think the only time we've actually seen that this season has been us against the Liverpool game, where Rashford actually showed that he still has that in his locker. He dribbled past 3 defenders and went in for a solo shot. It didn't go in, but we were finally able to see something from Rashford, something that he actually has in his locker. I think most of our wingers, when they get to that final third position, they are a bit hesitant in order to make their next move. I think that's been costing us a lot in games as well. I think Anthony looks much fresher. I think whenever he's around the box, he still looks very, very confident on the ball. And whenever I think with Anthony, the thing has been up until now, he takes pleasure in actually, taking on any player that who's in front of him. And with Rashford and Sancho, the thing has been they look more towards the link up rather than actually moving past defenders.
Yeah, I look at someone like Anthony, who was brought in for more money than Jadon Sancho was, and he's just convinced me a lot quicker than Sancho did. That was my only thought when I think about it. But again, Sancho's a slow burner. Hopefully, he can adapt and get used to Ten Hag's system.
There's a comment from Sadia here about Sancho. He said, assuming everyone had a clean slate this season under the new manager, it's too early to be anxious about Sancho after 8 games.
I don't think it is, though, when he showed inconsistencies last season as well. I think if anyone else, if it was Martial, if it was Rashford, I'd be saying the same thing. That they're up and down. I think Rashford's been pretty solid for the past 5-6 games.
Yeah.
Whereas Sancho's looked really good against Liverpool, but was awful in the derby. Absolutely awful. I know Rashford didn't have much of an input either, but he had like 4 or 5 touches in that derby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you're looking at them, they've all improved from last season. Martial, Rashford, everyone else really, except the likes of maybe Harry Maguire. Luke Shaw, I'm not going to talk about Luke Shaw after the video that was put up on the channel. Yeah, the reel, check it out.
I'll show you what about.
Yeah, it's on TikTok, it's on Instagram. Check it out if you can. My love for Luke Shaw.
Oh, babe.
But Even in his last game, he looked like he's improved a bit. Sancho has
Looks
been one of
fit,
the
doesn't
few
he?
that I don't think has. Yeah, he does look fit in terms of. I'm not even going to talk about it, but yeah, yeah, a few players have showed signs of improvement. The only two that I can really think of that happened is Harry Maguire and Sancho really right now. So he has to kind of try and get out of this rut right now. But I think he can. He's still young as well.
The last question before I've actually got some quotes here coming directly from the Jim
Yeah,
Ratcliffe
yeah.
interview that's going on currently. Who would your starting front three be right now when you're going into a game?
Starting front
Talk.
three would be Rashford, Anthony, and Ronaldo.
Adam, I have a feeling you're going to go with something different.
Yeah, I think our best, like right now, when everyone's fit, is Rashford, Martial, and Anthony.
Yeah, I'm going to be in. It's interesting to see what happens with Ronaldo as well, but we'll save that for a different show because I think getting that goal could do him a world of good, and you never know what Cristiano can do.
Exactly.
It's happened last season in December when he wasn't scoring against Burnley or Middlesbrough or Watford, and then he just comes up with a hat trick against Tottenham. So you never fucking know. Right, let's dive into these quotes then, because I think some of them are very fucking interesting. I think you lads are going to be interested in this. So yeah, so where we at? So he said this directly about the Glazers. He said Manchester United is owned by the Glazer family, who I have met, and they are the nicest people, proper gentlemen, and they said they don't want to sell it. He pauses and laughs when asked if he's going to acquire it. Says a lot. And he says if it had been for sale in the summer, yes, we would have tried to buy it after the Chelsea bid, because obviously he went in to buy Chelsea, didn't he, and got rejected. He's been asked about what is coming next for him in terms of growth in other businesses, and just said he and his partners are getting their head around understanding how to run a football club. So a few quotes about Manchester United there. He seems to be a bit on the what's the word I'm looking for? A bit on the reserved kind of list. Doesn't want to give away too much on that. But what's your thoughts on the ownership at the minute? Obviously, that's the quotes have only just come out from that, so we've not had time to kind of sit and dive into it. But what are your thoughts on the ownership right now? Is there any hope at all? Because at the start of the season, towards the end of the transfer window, there's stuff about Jim Ratcliffe, Michael Knighton with a consortium, which was supposed to be a load of bollocks now, apparently. Where's your head at with the ownership, Adam?
Well, looking at it, the only reason the Chelsea takeover happened so fast was because it had to. This could be a process that could go on for the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years. You never know. Right now, I think they're at a point where they're looking at it. They're actually making a bit of a loss. I know the business is making a loss, but they're continually taking out their dividends, so their profits aren't being hit. The club is being hit with the loss in profits, and it is going to impact on the pitch if we don't actually improve. We need to upgrade the stadium. We need to upgrade the training facilities. The team needs to be upgraded too. There's still a few holes in that team that need to be plugged in. Especially the stadium. I think that's the big issue right now. The roof is leaking in it. We've seen pictures at the back of it. It's rusting. It's being vocally said on Sky Sports by Gary Neville as well. Do you ever see the commentary kind of stand where it is where the commentary team go? It's in literally you're in the rafters, yeah.
Yeah.
And every other like top team, they're like improving their grounds. You look at Spurs, Arsenal. Even now, I know the Emirates is a couple of years old, but it's still a modern stadium because
West Ham as well.
developed.
Yeah.
West Ham as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that West Ham have a more up to date ground than us, it's a bit insulting as well because we're meant to be one of the biggest teams in the world.
Exactly.
Barcelona redeveloping the new camp. The Bernabeu's been done. You look at the Allianz Arena for Bayern Munich. All these top clubs are getting brand new stadiums, maybe, or they're developing the existing ones and modernize it. We're not. The last time it was modernized, like if you look at, I think was it 20 years before, like around 1985 to 2005, the ground developed a lot. They come in, it hasn't developed one bit, and that's the issue as well. Like they haven't been putting any money into it. I know we're a club that can balance on the money that we make, but where it's now starting to have an impact, and they don't have the money to actually pump in when the business is failing. So they need to go. We need to get somebody else in who can actually pump the money in. Otherwise, we're in really, really big trouble potentially in 5 to 10 years if we don't get on winning ways again.
If that damp rain keeps coming through, we're gonna have to start calling it Mold Trafford because it's not good. That one. A bit more of a detailed quote coming out here, Shreyas. I mentioned it before, but I've just seen this one now. So this must be like the official quote, and I just want to get your thoughts on this. So this is from Jim Ratcliffe. I'm a lifelong United fan, but Manchester United is owned by the Glazer family. I've met Joel and Avram, and they are the nicest people. Just let me take a minute. And they don't want to sell it. We can't sit around hoping one day United will become available. That's from Jim Ratcliffe's mouth. That's literally what he said.
I mean, it basically means he's out. I think in a way he's pretty much saying that he won't really be buying the club. Not anytime, even if it becomes available, I don't think he's going to be around. Actually, actively looking whether it becomes available, whether Manchester United is up for sale or not. I think he's given up on that thought. The way he's come out about this, and if this is true and if this is what he actually means by it, then we are in for a very, very tough season now. Because the only reason why we actually got the signings we got this season is because Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the rumors about him potentially making a bid to buy the club came out, and you could see more outlets coming out that there is probably someone in Dubai, there is probably someone called Ineos who are actually looking to buy the club, and I think for every single article that came out about it, I think the reason it all started was Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And now that he's backing out, unless someone is actually really interested in buying the club, there is no one who's going to be coming in to buy the club. And if that is the situation, the only way the Glazers would move out is going to be depending upon how we perform on the pitch and actually how united the fans are. If they are able to keep the movement going for about not just one but I would say 2 to 3 seasons, then probably something might come about. But it would be really, really difficult, and I don't see them anytime leaving Manchester United up for sale, because in any way, I don't think it hurts the Glazers whether they sell the club or not. They're right now they're making money off it. Whether they sell it or not, if they do end up selling it, they would still make a lot of money on it. They would save a lot of cash as well, because they won't really have to spend anything on rebuilding the stadium, the training ground, or any high-profile signings. They would actually be in a much more comfortable position. But the only person who I would say was linked to buying Manchester United is off, and he was the most active character, I would say, in the past few months. So I think it's really sad that he's gone out, because this just gives the Glazers, more power to do whatever they want with the club.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword for the fans as well. I don't think it's fair at all, because I feel like we'd have to suffer on the pitch so much, like close to relegation even maybe, or going down a league, in order for that's when the Glazers would sell. So it's kind of like, exactly. But then when we were doing really well, you want to get excited about it, but then oh, now we're back in the Champions League. They're never going to sell it, because if you offered the Glazers now 15, 20 years of Champions League revenue, and even though if we finish fourth every single year, they'd bite your fucking hand off for it. So it's not fair on the fans at all. You mentioned the other owners there, Shreyas, and
I'm reading between the lines.
Pardon?
I'm reading between the lines. Him coming out and publicly saying that they don't want to sell is going to put massive pressure on the owners now. So maybe it's a bit of mind games too.
Maybe.
And like, you don't express an interest and then just like, cut it off. Like I said, it could be 5, 10 years, but if you express the interest there, knowing that a business is failing and the fans are publicly always putting pressure on the owners to leave, I think there could be something in it. So we got to wait and see. I think it'll be a lot longer than we initially thought, though.
Well, I want to get your thoughts on this, Adam, because you got asked about Gary Neville's comments about the threat of American owners, about potential other people coming in. And he said American owners see club as a financial asset, but we see it as a community asset. That's what he said.
And that's what the clubs are all founded by the working class people. and that's why they're very community based. A lot of them are based in housing areas. I know Old Trafford's surrounded by a lot of housing as well, and
Yep.
that's what makes it a community club. You see the likes of Man City. I know they're backed by all these Middle Eastern kind of groups, but they've actually put money back into the community as well. Now they are, and that's why they have. I know we mock the fan base, but they are a growing fan base now because they're on the up. Right now, we're kind of plateauing, going down a bit. Basically, we're almost like flatlining on a heart
Yeah.
monitor right now, the way we
Exactly.
are, and
So,
we're close to being dead.
mm,
As harsh as it sounds, but yeah, those comments, I think you can't separate the roots of the club, and once you do that, I think it dies. It loses its magic, and I think West Ham initially had that when they moved to the new stadium because they were attached to that old ground, and they felt like it was like a loss to the community then because it was a
mm.
complete change of in area. But if you can keep Old Trafford a community club, because it hasn't really been a community club for a long, long time,
Been
if I'm
very
being honest.
divided,
Yeah.
the fan base. Very
Yeah.
divided. And you mentioned roots of the club there, Adam. I'm glad you mentioned that because you just give me the perfect segue into this next bit. He kind of paused and laughed, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, when he was pushed for an answer on buying Manchester United. And he went into a story, apparently, about how sad he is that United have fallen, how he is a fan, how he was there in 99 and how he wanted the club to return to the top. Apparently, he didn't touch much more on it after that. But yeah, he's clearly a massive fan of it. He's clearly got interest because when his team got asked about it a couple of months back, whenever it was, he was like, "Yeah, I would like to buy it, but there's owners in it in a minute currently." I just didn't get the comments about. I don't know if he's kind of greasing the Glazers up a little bit here, but he was saying like, "Oh, I've met Joel, I've met Avram, really nice people, blah blah blah." Like, that's not really going to resonate with the fans. If the fans heard that, they're going to be like, "You're talking shit, mate. These are people who are absolutely there." Maybe he's nice in a business room. I don't have a clue. I don't know him personally. But what he's doing to Manchester United currently, if you're such a fan of the club, you wouldn't come out and say that unless there was kind of some sort of significance behind it, like I said, greasing him up or something, potentially. I don't know. So yeah, we'll wait to hear if any more quotes come out of that. But I think mainly it's about his business and assets and that kind of stuff. So I don't know if any more is going to come out from it. If it does, we'll touch on it. I want to move on to the transfer talk, lads. Two decent journalists reporting on Cody Gakpo. For the first is from Fabrizio Romano, and he says Manchester United have an excellent relationship with Cody Gakpo's agents, but there was never a direct negotiation or bid with PSV as of yet. And Pletty Goal, who was good over the summer in regards to like transfers and stuff, he said Cody Gakpo would like to make a move to a bigger club than Leeds United, like United, City, Madrid, Barcelona or Bayern Munich. A move in January is not excluded and still on the cards, basically. 9 goals and 6 assists in 9 games so far this season, which, Adam, was a stat you made me aware of. That's playing on the left-hand side of the attack as well. I thought he was playing up front quite a lot, but I checked in the games. And he's actually he has played up front, but he's mainly on the left-hand side, so super impressive stats. Adam, we just discussed someone like Jadon Sancho at length, who plays obviously in a similar position. If you was to bring a Gakpo in, obviously 2 questions. 1, would it provide really good competition for the players that we've currently got? And 2, would you even consider him as being a starter, considering how he's performing at the minute?
Yeah, looking at his current form now, it's hard to argue not putting him in on the left side. You're looking at maybe Rashford up front. That's where he's looked best for us this season. He's got most of his goals going down the middle as well. But Sancho hasn't kind of been hitting the heights which we thought he would since he's actually arrived. So right away, I put Gakpo in on the left. Looking at the lad, very tall, very, very fast, skillful, has an absolute rocket in him.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had an absolute rocket in him till I saw some of the goals there in the Europa League. And stats to show it. He creates, he scores goals, he's tall. I must check. I don't know if he takes much of their set pieces, so maybe if he does, he might have I'm sure he's a good delivery on him if he is over 10 assists. And he's the first player in all of Europe's top leagues to get over 10 goals, 10 assists this season so far, I think.
That might be in all comps. I think I've got the stats from Eredivisie, so you might be right in that. I just got 9 goals and 6 assists in 9 games, but that was just strictly in the Eredivisie. So yeah,
I think it's all competitions.
Yeah,
So
even
straight
if
away.
you, sorry, go on, Adam.
I put him in straight away, and I think Ten Hag had an eye on him when he was at Ajax as well. So he obviously sees him as someone who'll fit into his system. So straight away on the left, do what you done with Anthony. I know you worked with Anthony in the past, but this is a player who's currently on high. You
Yeah.
can't take him out and edge him in if he's playing this well already. And if he comes in January, put him straight away in. I would.
If you think of, I don't know, one of the most informed attackers at the minute, let's say someone like a Phil Foden, right?
Yeah.
He has 6 goals and 3 assists this season. Gakpo's better, got more goal involvements than that. Nearly double, no, not nearly double, but a third more at least than Phil Foden, who's played significantly really well for Man City. Neymar is one of the top performing players in Europe at the moment. And both him and Gakpo have the exact same goal involvements. So in terms of on form, he's one of the best in Europe. Do you think, Shreyas, this is just a flash in the pan? Because we've seen this before from players who've gone on like crazy runs, and like Sancho was another example in Dortmund, one of the most creative midfielders in Europe at his pomp in Dortmund. We bring him over, doesn't necessarily translate. So do you think it's just a flash in the pan from Gakpo, or do you think there's genuine talent there?
I think sometimes rather than talent, it comes down to the manager who actually wants the player. And with Ten Hag, the thing is, whenever he actually actively goes in for a player, he has kind of like a biodata and a profile about that player. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we went in for players like Anthony, why we went in for players like Lisandro Martinez, and now why he. I think when he came in, Cody Gakpo was pretty much he's a name that was around the transfer links for about 3 to 4 months before even Anthony came in, and he's a much cheaper option, and he's been doing really well in the Eredivisie. But yes, sometimes some players do get on some really good trajectories and good runs of form, but that doesn't really end up becoming the case when they actually make the move to a bigger club. It does happen, but sometimes I think with certain players they actually kick on even more after getting that move. They actually start playing even better. So I think going in for a player, obviously there's always going to be a gamble whether it is going to work out or not. And I would still say if we go in for a player like him and it would just cost us for about like 20 to 25 million, I think that would be a gamble which would be worth to take, because right now we've gambled on Anthony and it has cost us about 85 to 86 million. And
Yeah.
for me, making a gamble on a player who would cost us about 20 to 25 million and is versatile enough to actually play in any of the front three positions. He can play off the left wing, he can play off the right wing, and he can actually play really well as a cam. So he offers us versatility and he offers us quality in every single position. So for 20 million, I would actually go in for that offer any day,
I
because
think I think PSV might ramp that bid up from
he's
20
still
million, if
yeah,
I'm
but
being honest.
he's still got a release clause of about 30 million. So we wouldn't necessarily have
What he's got? Has
exactly.
he?
Yeah, he has a release clause of
I didn't
about
know he had a
30 million.
release clause 20
That's one of the
million.
reasons
But,
why Leeds and Southampton have actively been looking at him.
yeah, please join us,
Exactly.
please. Yeah, but he's going to get a bigger move to another
Yeah,
club.
yeah.
I mentioned like the company he's in currently at the minute with Neymar and Haaland in goal involvements. Like it just speaks for itself. Speaking of Neymar, news coming out about his teammate Kylian Mbappe wanted to leave PSG. One simple question, lads. You like that segue then? One simple question:
Yeah.
Would you take? Would you take
No,
him?
no,
No.
no.
Why?
I, we've had enough with Paul Pogba. We've had enough drama. I think
Trey
it.
speaking for all the fan base
Yeah,
there.
I think
We've had enough.
definitely an era has come to an end after Pogba leaving. I think we don't really need that kind of an atmosphere around the club again. I think one of the biggest reasons about that being we are still a club that is, rebuilding, is still getting back to the level that we actually want to achieve. And I don't think Mbappe is going to be the player who's going to help us achieve that. Once again, he's going to be as good as he is, as he could be the poster boy of football in the coming in the coming 4 to 5 years, but he isn't gonna do that kind of, I would say, he isn't gonna be able to reach those expectations playing for Manchester United. And I don't think Manchester United would actually be looking at someone like Kylian Mbappe, because these kind of signings have never worked out for us. Never worked out for us. And the kind of drama he's bringing at a club like PSG, where money is never an is never an issue for any player. Trophies have never really been an issue for any player, and he is pretty much like a sporting director there. He has the say in every single transfer that goes by, the manager who gets appointed, how they actually play on and off the pitch. He has a say and he has control over practically everything. And even that isn't satisfying in someone like Kylian Mbappe at a club like PSG. So, what could Manchester United offer him? Europa League football. Imagine the kind of stuff that possibly he can come out with.
Yeah. I mean, Adam, I feel like Darren Fletcher would be more shitting himself than the actual players on the team with that director of football role that he's probably going to be taking off him. Maybe he does a better job. Who knows? Yeah, obviously Kylian Mbappe is super talented player up there with, I think, with Haaland for the next 10 years competing for Ballon d'Ors. But the baggage that he brings, it's just simply not worth it, is it? I don't want to put words into your mouth, but surely.
Well, you've taken the words out of my mouth. We got rid of one French circus, and I don't want to have another one in, if I'm being honest.
That's a headline for a newspaper, that, isn't it? We don't want another French circus.
No. I'm not going to lie. When the against Stade Rennes, and he's probably the best. Yeah, he's electric. He's the best player I've seen play in person. Messi was on the pitch too. I've seen Ronaldo. I've seen Messi, obviously in their later years. But right in the moment, in their current form, current age, he's the best player I've seen in person. Every time he got the ball, edge of the feet, there's no denying he's super talented. And as you said, up there with Haaland as, I reckon, the next big player in the next 10 years. Yeah. But the baggage is just ridiculous. He's not satisfied with all these roles. As much as I would love to get rid of Darren Fletcher as director of football, I don't think this is the answer. And we need to be getting rid of, stepping away from that sort of signing. It screams Glazers there, big shirt sales, but no. Trust the manager. I don't think Ten Hag will be looking at him like, yeah, I fancy that. He'd be like, no, keep it away from that.
It'd be like me getting linked with Kim Kardashian. Now that's what it'd be linked like. Don't get me wrong, Kim Kardashian's absolutely beautiful. I'm sure she'd be amazing. But the baggage she would bring, the attention, it's just not for me, mate. I'm out. I'll go get myself a fucking pixie lot or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, you get the analogy. Yeah, you get the analogy. Anyway, lads, that is the end of the show. Thank you to the lads for joining me. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, follow us on socials. We'll have the Ammonia preview for you guys tomorrow night at 6:30, same time, so make sure you don't miss that. And lads, I want one word from both of you to end the stream. It can be absolutely anything you want, or a couple of words, whatever you want. So, Adam.
Just like the video, comment, subscribe. I know the chat was going off. Hopefully I'll read a few of them quickly. Dan mentioned about her and about Mbappe coming. We touched on that. Vincent then said, I'll take him. We want the best players in the world at our club, especially when you're paying for a ticket at every home game. I'm sure you want the best on the pitch. It's just the baggage that you get off the pitch. That's the only reason why I wouldn't go for it personally.
I think
with
that, on that as
everyone
well,
there.
I think on that as well, I would say we haven't really been a club who, actually got where we actually got at a certain point of time because we got the best players. We actually made the players into the best versions rather than actually getting them in their primes.
Yeah. Adam, do you want to read out? Do you have a few more comments then to read out or something?
There was just a few things on Jim Ratcliffe, basically him saying nothing is a very good thing when buying a club that legally cannot talk to the media about it. And I think that's because Manchester United would then have to put out a statement saying that someone is basically made a bid or is in discussion. So maybe that's why he isn't publicly saying it yet. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. We just got to wait and see. But I think that's mainly the comments there anyway.
Perfect. Thank you for everyone.
Sam said, when is the wedding with Sean?
When is the what? Wedding with Shaw.
The wedding with Shaw.
We're going to do a stag do and everything. We're going to go Las Vegas. We're going to have Luke Shaw masks. We're going to have Pussy Patrol on our back. We're going to have the whole lot. Don't worry about it. I still want one word from you. It can be any word you want. Literally any word you want. Throw me one word. Shreyas or Adam.
Glazes out.
Quick. That's 2 words, but okay. Adam? Anything. Could be banana or cupboard. Throw me a word.
I'm gonna go with battery because
Battery.
yeah, I needed a charge. I had some coffee.
I love it. Kim, give us a call. We'll make something happen. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Mm-hmm.